handmade one-of-one collectible series by Chicago artistic powerhouse Probcause that are generated by literally rolling the dice. Prob, thank you for sticking with us and joining us today.
Yeah, sorry we had some glitchiness on the other stream, man.
Yeah, anytime DC's involved, I like to blame him for what's happening. But this truly was a matter of our platform that we use. StreamYard seems to be having some difficulty. Or you could have broken the internet by
Maybe I broke it.
You could have by low-key sneaking the Skullies drop. It was highly anticipated. People were talking about it, and then boom, they're on the market. So we will definitely get to that. But man, it's been a while. Thank you for joining us. We talked. What was it, in the spring, right?
Yeah, but it feels like it's been like a decade, bro.
Yeah, for sure, man. This space moves very quick. So, for anyone that didn't catch that stream when you came on for the artist fireside chat and saw all the different things that you're about, could you just give them a quick synopsis on Probcause?
Yeah, so I come from kind of the music world. Been touring for the last 10 years or so. Obviously, once COVID hit, it kind of derailed my touring plans and my music career to a certain degree. But during that time, discovered crypto and NFTs and this whole beautiful world, and have really just been like exploring kind of all my creative outlets through of NFTs and just all the crypto stuff. And now that things are opening back up, I'm about to start touring again, starting next weekend. But yeah, that's kind of, sorry, you hear my dogs barking in the back. They're protecting my real life parcel here. But yeah, that's kind of the Prob 101. Came from music, always made art, and through this NFT space, I've really found an amazing home.
Yeah, I mean, our first conversation, everybody was super impressed with not only your art, like your animation and all the ways you were able to tie stuff in. And since then, I could just think off the top, you started the Lucy's project and it really kind of blew up and took off. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was actually trying to remember if I had done those. I don't think I had started those last time we talked. So
no.
Yeah, okay. So these are portraits that I started doing. I started making them with my left hand, actually. I'm a righty. I was making all these kind of really tight illustrations that were just very complex, and I needed something to kind of loosen me up a little bit, something more fun and colorful and vibrant. So I started making these drawings first of my friends, just with my left hand, and I just got so much positive feedback. I was like, oh man, there's something to these. It's like a very different style from my other stuff. And then people started asking if I would do them for them. So I started doing Lucy's for people, for my Twitter followers, whoever replied with a cool picture of themselves. That's the first one I ever did right there. That's Muzzy Bear, my buddy.
Nice.
Yeah, so I started doing them of my friends like that. People wanted them, started doing them for fans. Then I was getting requests dude, will you do a Snoop Dogg one? Will you do a Kurt Cobain one? So I started, and a Hunter S. Thompson one, started doing some celebrity ones, and they just kind of took off. I commissioned a bunch of them through a couple NFT mechanisms that I created. And then I started doing what I call them the legendary Lucy's, which are the more famous people, and just putting those up for auctions on my OpenSea. And it just kind of turned into this whole thing that I didn't expect it to. It was just kind of this fun exercise of trying to make some loose drawings for myself. And they got embraced, and it kind of just took its own life.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of it ties into the aesthetic that eventually I see in some of the other stuff you did with, Skullies. But before we get to that, also, I remember all of a sudden you started really popping off, getting a lot more immersed into Cryptovoxels and into the metaverse.
Yeah.
And you were making a lot of customs, people were asking for custom kicks and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got into Cryptovoxels from the homies I'm Not Art, which they actually have a real life gallery now, but they were throwing these community showcases where they had a bunch of NFT artists who they would showcase and display in their galleries and Cryptovoxels. And I was like, this is so cool. You could do so much cool stuff in this space. So I ended up buying a parcel. Had so much fun decking it out and just exploring the space and meeting new people. I started doing some DJ sets in there via my Twitch stream, and you have all the avatars dancing around. And then Cryptovoxels opened up the wearables for anybody to mint. So I got really into just creating outfits for the avatars and like selling those and customizing them for homies. You know, it's like a fast drug. Like once you get into Cryptovoxels and this whole space, it's like it's easy to get addicted to it, you know. So I got really into it, and now I have a few parcels, and I'm doing all types of stuff in there all the time.
Yeah, I was there actually for the launch. I came through. I think
Oh, cool.
it melted my computer. I had to fly way up near like one of the top floors and hang out because between everybody coming in and how much stuff you got in there. In fact, when we were having the audio difficulty at the beginning of this, I was like, you know what
Yeah.
it is? I bet you it's because I got the lounge open over here and it's just like melting something. I mean, this was like I don't even know what's going on. So I may abandon that. I may abandon that panel altogether. But yeah, so you know, all of a sudden you have the Lucy's going. You got a lot of customs going as well. The Black Lounge. You're really getting immersed in the metaverse. So how did Skullies come about? Where was your inspiration for this project?
Yeah, so the Skullies were originally, I was actually going to do them as just kind of a low key release on Hen on the like Tez network, and
Right.
just as like a fun project. I was making them also with my left hand. Some of them I was doing really quickly, and I have a buddy. His name is Tom. He runs Pixel Portraits, and I have like a Telegram with him and a couple other homies. And he was like, "Yo, dude, these are like some of my favorite things I've ever seen you do. You should do like a proper launch." And around that same time, a lot of my collectors were asking if I was going to start minting on chain and have my own smart contract. So I decided that Skullies would be a really cool opportunity to do that, do this proper, set up a really cool collection, and use it as almost like a governance token, but also like an access token to just all things Probcause. So it turned into this really big idea, and we just kept brainstorming back and forth. And he was like, "Yo, you should make them generative," but I didn't really want to just do the like 10K generative project where I made like a template and a bunch of different like that felt very boring to me, and everyone was trying to do that right then. Yeah, way to highlight that. So I decided to create my own game where I made a property chart and I rolled dice to determine what the individual properties would be. So rather than like a computer doing it for me, I'm just doing it all with this game, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So sorry, I had to grab some water there real quick. So all the Skullies have different species. So like when you roll the dice twice, I'll explain the game real quick. You roll the dice twice. The first dice roll dictates the species of the skull. So it could be like an ape, a bull, a human, an alien. I think there's a couple more. And then the second roll dictates the amount of colors, and then also like the trait. So it could have like a halo or a star or a moon or a flower or these other different traits. And based on what dice rolls I give, then I make a skull based on what those traits dictate. So that's kind of how I came up with it. And I'm going to release them in batches of 33. And I have like a crazy chart of all the traits as I make them. And then all the traits are on chain. I minted it via Manifold. And so within the smart contract, everything is kept and stored in there, including even the dice rolls. So like when you go to the properties of them on OpenSea, you can see like it'll be like 6 and 8. Those are the dice rolls that generated this Skully. So it's kind of like my own version of a generative project.
Yeah, taking a look at it right now. Super cool.
Yeah.
Tell me just real quick about the smart contract. You had a custom smart contract made, which, by the way, some of the community members were like, "Hey, look at this guy's obsession with eights. What's up with that?" So I don't know if that actually has any relevancy, but someone did ask. Tell me about the smart contract and what this custom smart contract can do.
Yeah, there's all types of cool little like hidden Easter eggs in there. You can see like it says Probcause, Skullies established 2021, all this stuff. But basically the smart contract, it mints it directly from my wallet. So like I don't want to get too into the technical side of this because I'm actually not an expert in this field. I'm an artist and by no means a dev or any of that stuff. But essentially it just mints it directly from me. There's no lazy minting. All the properties are stored within that NFT. And this is actually just the Skullies contract. I'm going to have my own separate Probcause contract, but this contract is strictly for all the releases within the Skullies collection.
Very
So it
cool.
can never be messed with. You know, like some of the stuff on OpenSea, like you can edit the NFT after it's been minted. You know, some collectors who are really in the nitty gritty of it question whether it's actually even an NFT if it's minted lazily through OpenSea's contract. So there's a lot of like questions around that. I'm not really the best person to answer those, but it was something a lot of my collectors were asking me about. And as someone who kind of like appreciates the tech of all this stuff, of the people who kind of like created this space before we got here, I thought it was important to do it this way.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing, and it just talks to the, you know, the intentions and the authenticity in what you're doing, right? Like you wanted to make sure you made it the finest quality for the people that wanted to collect it. So without getting into the tech, that alone says a lot for the people that are interested.
Totally.
So, so you talk to me a little bit more about the Skullies project as far as, you know, the release scheduling, launching. So I understand you're releasing it in waves, right? Waves of 33.
Yeah. Yep. So the way that I'm going to release it in waves of 33. And the way that I did it was anybody who owned a Lucy, like one of those Lucy portraits, had either bought it from the collection or commissioned one. They could verify their Lucy within my Skullies Discord. And so in that Skullies Discord, there's a Skullies Alpha channel, right? That gives you the inside on all the drops. So only, so basically Lucy holders are the first people to hear about the drops. And I gave them, I mean, I didn't know they were going to sell it so fast. I was going to give it like maybe an hour or two, and then release it on like Twitter and in the general conversation or whatever. But you know, there's enough Lucy holders in that alpha channel that just bought it up pretty quickly. And so they flew. And so I had a lot of people hit me up on Twitter like, dude, I didn't even see you post about this. How'd they get sold out already? And so like, that's kind of why, that's the mechanism I developed. And really that was to reward both the early collectors of my NFTs in general. And just kind of create you know, for a lot of these 10K projects, it's all about let's get as many people into this Discord. It doesn't matter who they are, where they came from. Let's get as many people in here as possible and make as much money as quickly as possible. And like, that's kind of not my steez. So I wanted to do something that was a little more exclusive, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And just full disclosure here, I've been thinking about like my avatar for branding or whatever. So if I do try to commission you for a Lucy, it's not just because I want a Skully, though I do want a Skully. It's actually because I'm trying to look for some kind of online identity I can kind of plant my flag with. So if you hear from me, that's what it's about.
Customized. You know, I think that's the cool thing too, is like, I think it's really cool, like what's happening with the avatar projects, but I think there's also room for more customized avatars from artists in general, like commissioning an artist to do your avatar. I think that's a really cool concept too. So, you know, that's kind of what we're doing with the Lucy's. I didn't think about them as profile pictures when I started making them, but then it kind of like turned into that vibe. That's kind of like the MF Doom Skully, somebody said.
Yes, super dope. Super dope. So so you launched today expecting just to give a little alpha to your Lucy holders and seeing if, you know, giving them the opportunity to get in early before the rest of the public goes at it. You didn't anticipate the demand, I guess. It sells out in 20 minutes, and the only ones remaining are the ones that are up for auction. So if I understand this correctly, 30 of the editions will be with each wave, or at least for this wave, will be open, and then the last 3 go to auction for 24 hours.
That's right. Yep, exactly.
Okay, so here are the 3 that are currently in auction, and that's what'll happen every wave release.
That's what'll happen with every wave. And a big part of this project is collaborations. So I have like some of my favorite artists. I'm not gonna release any alpha here yet. Maybe I'll release 1 or 2. But I'm gonna do those last 3 will probably be collabs going forward. So a lot of that stuff will be auctions of like me and another artist who are big in the NFT space, or musician friends, or people who don't know about the NFT space but are just like super dope artists that I want to work with, you know? So it's like a really cool game because you can play like I literally mail the artist the dice, and then they do like a little unpackaging video of the dice and then rolling the dice. and so that'll be locked into all the collaboration Skullies as well. And it's just like a really fun way to collaborate with other artists too, I've noticed.
Yeah, I love the, it appeals on so many different senses. It grounds it with having that, there's so much uncertainty with a lot of this generative art stuff, and like literally knowing you're taking physical dice and that's how things are generating. And it also, to me, at least personally, makes me feel like it has even that much more value in the personalization of it, right? So I just think it's pretty
handmade.
Cool. Yeah, and then and there's just some people that are like, oh, this appeals. I think I saw someone talk about D&D. Maybe it's because they saw skulls and rolling dice, but you know what I mean? It hits on a lot of different levels for people.
Well, so my other thought, and I don't want to get too far ahead into like what I promised the holders, but one thing that's for sure is that Skully holders will essentially vote on changes to the game and like the direction that it goes. So like, for example, if you roll a 6, it's a human skull, right? But if 2/3 majority of the Skully holders are like, dude, we want some dragon skulls, they could vote on that, and then we could change the rules of the game to make number 6 dragon skulls. So ultimately, the holders of the Lucy's will kind of dictate how the game changes and evolves over time. So this will be like this evolving project. And also, one thing I was thinking, you saying the D&D thing, I was like, well, right now we use D6 dice, but what if we changed it to like D20 dice for one of the waves of 33 that we drop, and we add like a whole bunch of new traits and variations to the game, because there's so many more options when you have the D20 dice from the D&D stuff. So like there's so many cool directions that I'm looking forward to taking it. But right now I'm trying to like keep it simple until enough people come in and kind of grasp it, because I know like I'm throwing a lot at people when I explain this.
No, you're getting all our geek and NFT senses tingling here. I love that the 23 is a bull, right?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. But I gotta be honest with you, I did not plan it that way. I tried.
Get out of here!
I swear to God, I try to stay really true, and I think it was like 2 or 3 bulls in a row. Like it was like, and I was like, dude, no one's gonna believe that, because those are actually some of the more rare ones. I think there's only 4 bulls in total. And I was like, whoa, I just rolled 3 bulls in a row. But I try to stay pretty true to like the dice game, like I really keep it real with that, because that's the whole fun of it,
Right. Yeah. So people want to know, how many do you plan to release in total of this? Do you have a target?
Yeah. So originally I was going to do 666. I think that's probably what I'll stick with, but that's another thing. I'm going to kind of like leave some of this in the hands of the Skully holders. So we're going to come up with a number after the first 100. I'm going to kind of get a sense of how many people wanted these things. But as of right now, I'm probably going to stop at 666 to keep it somewhat scarce, because I know that is important. My fear is like, I love making these. So part of me is like, dude, I want to make 6,066, but right. I want them to maintain value for the holders, and at some point I think it will need to be a project that stops, but I'm not quite ready to like make that final proclamation,
So 666, that would be 20 waves, is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
So do you have an idea on the cadence? Is it going to be once a week, or is it going to be a mystery? We have to figure it out.
It's all going to be based on when I have time to do them. Like that's the realness of it. Like, I don't want to force these. I don't want to pump them out because they sold out really quickly. I'm also starting to tour again, so I don't want to like overwhelm myself. I want them to be like really cool things that, I'm passionate about these right now, and will continue to be. And I don't want to force them out. So they will be as scarce as like my creative juices allow them to be, to just be 100% real with you.
Which probably means in turn, if they're slowing down, that you got some other creative stuff coming, right? So it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, like,
perspective.
Totally. I mean, the cool thing too is like, you'll see this. So the second wave is already done, full disclosure. I don't know when I'm going to release them, but I have some really like, you know, ones I spent like 2-3 hours on. Like they're really like detailed and crazy. And so like the cool thing with the Skullies is that, you know, the skull is just a frame of reference, but they can really like evolve into these other things that are like more detailed drawings. So you know, I'm allowing myself the space to like explore all my kind of like artistic needs. They're not all going to look like this. They're really going to like evolve and change. Like you guys are going to be blown away by the next batch because they just look, some of them look like this, some of them look totally different. So you know, it's kind of like based on where my head is at the time. Like I've been in a space where I want to sit down and do like more long form drawing and spend a couple hours on them. So like some of the Skullies just look like that in this next wave.
Very cool. We already got a, you know, people are all over the chat. They're like, can we at least get a timeline, like plus or minus a couple days on the drop, so we could be on the lookout?
Yeah, definitely. Like my plan is to drop the second wave in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Absolutely, 100%. I've been bugging Richard so much. I got to give him a couple days off. You know what I'm saying, over there at Manifold.
Right. So I have a question. So obviously the Lucy holders get first dibs, or they're going to get first crack at, you know, when the release is. How many Lucy holders are there?
There are, I have it right here. There are 27 Lucy holders.
Oh wow! So it's tight, right? Like it's basically they
like
could scoop up nearly all of them.
One.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it limited to one, or could they grab a couple?
People can grab as many Lucy's, as many Skullies as they want. So okay, I'm glad you brought that up. So this one was dropped just on OpenSea. I'm hoping that I have a site that I'm building right now with a couple awesome homies, and my hope is that it'll be ready. One of the reasons I don't want to give you an exact date on the wave 2 is because it'll hopefully be you'll be minting them from my website, from the Skullies website, and you'll only be able to mint 3. But I'm just trying to figure out a few things so that there's no gas wars, so that it runs smoothly, and so that everyone has a fair shot. And what we'll do is have like a password protected website that will be dropped with the password in the Skullies Alpha channel on Discord. And then they can go to the website, enter in that password that they get from the Alpha channel, and they'll still have the first dibs on it. But they'll only be able to mint 3 Skullies tops.
Okay. And I'm just curious, did these guys, when you dropped it, was it like, hey guys, it's live, or were you like, hey guys, this is probably going live in an hour or something?
Yeah, I was so cryptic, man. I mean, that's part of the whole vibe of it too.
It's because I'm telling, like, I was hyped, everyone else was hyped, and we're like, holy shit, they're out, they're dope, but it's already, we didn't even see an announcement. So props to you for having that kind of demand, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, like it's all about, for me, like I have so much appreciation for the people who collect my work. So it's like I wanted to make sure that I showed all those people who kind of supported me from day one, show them love first, make sure they get those Lucy's first. And then, you know, it's cool because there's kind of this dynamic now between the Lucy's and the Skullies where like the demand for the Lucy's has gone up because everyone wants to get in on the Skullies drop, and because they like the Lucy's, but it's kind of like it goes both ways. So like that's a really cool concept to me, where like both of these projects kind of help each other out in a way. Oh, and so okay, here's the other cool part of all this, right? Is that if you burn 3 Skullies, you can exchange it for a Lucy. So I haven't gotten this completely set up yet, so don't go burning your Skullies if you got them. But basically, if you burn 3 Skullies, you'll be in exchange, you'll get a burn token, a Skully burn token, which is its own NFT. And you can redeem a Lucy for those 3 burned Skullies and get your own custom Lucy. Because like now the floor on Lucy's is going up to the point where at some point they'll be around 1 ETH soon. And so it'd be cheaper to burn 3 Skullies than to try to buy an outright commission Lucy.
Yeah, and some people are like, why would you do that? Can I burn a Lucy and you give me 3 Skullies? So you're gonna have some different camps here for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you're into, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, we could try to figure that out too, where people start burning. But see, right now Lucy's are selling for more than Skullies, so I don't know if that would work that way yet.
Right. So let me talk about. I mean, you put some other cool things that are going to be part of this project. And before I talk on the specifics that you had in mind, even if it's just loose framework, what are your thoughts on the current collectible scene? You make reference to some of the stuff going on up there. Like, I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade as far as projects out there, but what do you think is good and positive
Yeah.
that's going on right now? What are they doing right, and what do you think is lacking and could use a little work?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I own a bunch of these 10K projects. There's some of the art that I really like. I'm an ape owner. You can tell my profile picture on Twitter is an ape. I think that project is really cool, and set the precedent for a lot of these other projects that are coming out. I love the Vogu project. I love the Subducks project. There's a lot of them that I'm really into. I guess my thing is when it becomes about playing the lottery. You know what I mean? Where people are like pumping in their hard-earned money in hopes of getting like these rare ones to just flip. I think that, that's fine and that's part of the game or whatever, but then it becomes about something else at that point. And then I think it's kind of weird that we have all these like influencers who are being paid and not saying that they're being paid to like pump these projects. I think some of that stuff is pretty toxic, and ultimately, like people are, I think there's within the anonymity portion of this space, people forget that these are real people who are spending their real money on art, so like I think that gets lost a little bit, and so these like shillers or influencers, I think, are taking advantage of a lot of people, and so like I don't really vibe with that part of it.
Right.
And I think the rug pulls have been really sad for the space. What is it, the Fame Lady Squad and some of those other ones, like that was just like kind of just made me sick to my stomach. Not just the people who were behind it, who were like actually just like three guys, right, pretending to be women of color,
Right.
but also like all the people who like shilled it for them and pretended to be behind this project just because they got paid some money. Like, I think that stuff is toxic and it's not good for the ecosystem. And that's just my opinion. I'm not even like saying any specific people. I'm just saying, generally speaking, like, I don't think that's good for us and for the growth of this space. So, and I saw a lot of people that I knew who were like, yo, I got to take a break from the internet for some days. Like, this stuff really like hurt me. And, when people are being taken advantage of, you're never going to have my support on that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've been talking about this a little bit recent weeks. I think that some of the greater crypto community that was speculative investors have kind of forayed into NFTs a lot more. Instead of like in the past, they knew NFTs was popping and that it was something that they could benefit from like trading, but they did that
Mm-hmm.
via proxy with tokens, right? Like a token like whale or whatever, where they
Right.
can have exposure without actually having to own it. And all of a sudden they see all this money and punks or whatever, and they're like, you know what? I need to allocate some of my portfolio directly to these. And so what the huge generative projects do is they provide that liquidity, right?
Yep.
They provide that opportunity to do that. And then, all of a sudden when I started seeing comments like, hey, we're trying to raise the floor, or there's a sell wall at 1 ETH or whatever, I knew the paradigm had changed a little bit, right? So I think that's part of it, right? That's definitely part of it. But the cool thing with you is like you're an artist on all fronts, right? That like you were the musician. You're not being paid to show. This is actually what's coming out of your creative mind and what you get excited about.
Yeah, I think my approach is just a little bit different, and I think that some of these huge 10K projects are actually good for the space in terms of bringing a lot of new people into NFTs.
Right.
I think it makes it accessible for a lot of people. So I think all of that is really good, and I think some of them are like done incredibly well. The artwork is beautiful. Again, like, I don't know the people who did Vogu's, but the artwork is just like incredible to me on those. So like, I personally buy what I like artistically. Of course, like, I mean, I haven't really flipped anything for a profit in terms of like the 10K projects like that. I mean, I have an ape, so I guess I could, but I'm like holding on to that. So I guess I'm just playing a different game than a lot of people are, But I understand it and I see where it's going. I just don't want it to become like this weird, trashy, spammy thing where everyone's got a 10K project and none of them are doing well, because they're all just like really low effort, pumped out quickly. Like, the traits look all messed up. Like, like I don't like the lazy stuff.
Right, right. And a lot of people will say that the community aspect is really part of what can drive the successful ones, like apes, like Vogu. I think they had some collaborative efforts on the background with a photographer that we featured here, Karen Jerzik, and part of
Yeah.
their charitable donation was directly to her mother, who was affected, I think, by a stroke. Right, like part of the community aspect is big and what's driving these projects. And I think I read some cool stuff in your WTFR Skullies at the bottom here relative to doing different stuff. It's like there's no roadmap, no bonding curve or white paper. It's about community. And you talk about the game changing and evolving. Talk to me about that. Like that Discord you set up quickly got full of a lot of people that were excited. I think I even see dad and kids NFT in there, like a lot of people popping in. Tell me what your vision is for that and what you guys are going to do.
What's cool is the dads and kids NFT. He was not part of the Discord before the drop, and he was not part of the Skullies Alpha. He was just on OpenSea perusing, and I think like my stuff went live right when he was looking, and he just snagged like 3 of them. And so he like just got super lucky. And then one of the ones, so like some of the Skullies have voxels that are attached to them. So like you get airdropped a voxel version of the Skully head. And so he ended up winning one of those too, randomly, like super lucky, but awesome person. We've been like going back and forth. But so the thing about the game, the Skullies game, I kind of call it. So like you can see on my Discord and how Skullies work. Basically, like it's like the instructions to a board game. It shows you how I play the game of Skullies. And he was like, "Yo, I want to make some Skullies with my kids. They're like drawing, stuff in this style." And one of my devs on there was like, or mods on there was like, "Yo, you should play the game with them," and like showed them how to play the Skullies game. So my other thought is like where a lot of these other, Discord profile pic 10K projects will have like a meme channel. Instead, we have like a make your own Skully channel, and I'm hoping that people will like make their own versions of these and post them in there, just like by rolling the dice, and that the trait chart is all there. It's almost like an open source board game for people to make their own. You know what I mean? So I envision it as being this thing that is really, I think the other thing I say in that Medium article I wrote is like, it'll grow or dissolve with the community. So like, it seems like I have such this organic community. Like I didn't really pump the Discord too heavily. People just kind of like gravitated towards it pretty naturally. And so my hope is that those people will change the rules, help each other out, make their own Skullies, interact with each other, collaborate on Skullies together, and just kind of like brainstorm ideas of where they want this to go. The other thing, with being a musician and having like this music career, I also was looking at the Skullies as being almost like a Patreon account where owning a Skully gets you early access to music, tickets to shows, like cool little rewards of that nature. I don't want to like overpromise things. But I'm about to put a new song out next week, and the day before it goes live on Spotify, I'm going to post it in the Skullies Alpha channel, or for the like Skully owners or whatever. So like they'll have access to some of my releases a little bit earlier than everyone else. It's like this access token on top of all the other things I mentioned earlier that it does in terms of utility, right?
Right. Yeah. Now, I love that you highlighted it because it does get overpromised, but certainly, direct access to you and the stuff you do and what that could entail. It gets me excited at what the possibilities could be, and I'm sure it does you too.
Yeah, totally. Again, like, and I'm not gonna front like I have the whole thing figured out. Like I'm to a certain degree, I have a lot of ideas of what I want to do with this space from a long-term standpoint. But I am also figuring it out as I go along, alongside everyone who's kind of like a part of it, who owns Skullies or is interested in Skullies even, or who's in the Discord. Like we're kind of figuring it out together. I know that might sound a little corny, but like that's really what's happening is like we're brainstorming ideas, and then I have the resources to kind of bring some of these things into fruition.
Well, I like that better than a roadmap that promises, 10 pizzas at half sold out or whatever, right? So, hey, it's open to a lot of cool stuff that's genuine, and I think there's more possibilities that way. So I definitely like that direction.
Totally.
One of the questions in the community is, can you give us any inclination and maybe a hint on some collaborators moving forward?
Yeah. So, one of the biggest collaborators I have already done a piece with is Grizz, who's like the main artist I tour with. He's a huge DJ in the EDM space, but he's actually also an incredibly talented painter and collage artist. So I was just out in Colorado a couple weeks ago. We were rehearsing for these upcoming shows and shooting a music video out there. And we took a day out to work on a Skully together, and it's actually a physical piece. We did it on canvas. It's a really cool collage. So that'll be one of them. Who else can I reveal? I've talked to a bunch of different artists. Glass Crane is one of the dudes that I've talked with about doing one. This dude Hamad is another dude. I don't know if people are.
Oh
He's
yes,
just really cool. You
we
know him?
love Hamad. Yeah, Hamad is
Okay,
super dope.
sweet. So Hamad and I actually have several collaborations that we haven't released. We have a Salvador Dali Lucy that we collaborated on. That's like a 3D slash Lucy style. That's pretty funky. But we both just got kind of busy with our own projects. But we're working on a Skully right now. Dewey Saunders, who you guys might know, he's a collage artist. He does a lot of work for album covers. Like he did the Anderson .Paak Malibu album cover, and he did one of Future's album covers. We're working on one. And my hip hop homie, you probably know Nightmare. You know Eli from Living Legends, all that crew.
Yeah.
He's into the NFT space now as well. And we're gonna do a Lucy together. So those are a few of the collaborations. And also, if you guys have like suggestions of people you want to see me collaborate with, jump into my Discord. There's like a collaboration channel, and just throw the names in there because I want to start getting more ideas of who people want to see collabs with.
Well, I have like zero visual art talent, so I can't contribute, sadly. But the community has asked to see me roll the dice because they think I'd be horribly unlucky. So I think I'm gonna have to look at the game and see if I can record something for them.
So here's the thing: is you could so I'll give one more collaboration. I'm gonna do something with Spotty, the punk, and have him roll the dice, and he's gonna have to rap like the lyrics that are the traits. You know what I'm saying? So he's got to like rap about a star and a halo or a flower or whatever he ends up rolling. So there's a music place for you too if you want to make like a beat and use like certain vocal chops within the beat that have the traits. We could do it that way, Nightmare.
Sheesh! If you put me on the spot, I might go back to the pizza deliverables at that point to get myself out of this. You know what? Maybe if it makes sense. I don't want to drag down. You have a amazing list of collaborators here. I'm really excited for some of those that you just listed, and I know you're just listing what you can talk about. There's probably a lot more in the works.
Totally.
So I think we'll definitely link the Discord so people interested could hop over there and be part of that community as well. I have a few questions from the community, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Is there any influence from the Day of the Dead in Mexico in your art style?
Whoa. I mean, not directly, but I do love the Day of the Dead skulls for sure. And like the face painted skulls, like I love all that stuff. So I'm sure like it's just kind of been infused into my brain, and then it comes out, you know, you can see the influence of that stuff. But I wouldn't say like directly, I wouldn't say like I'm looking directly at those. But I've always been a big fan of the Day of the Dead skulls.
Yeah, you could definitely see it, and I can see why someone would make that connection. Someone made a comment that you had some imagery that was very, I don't want to say violent, but it was aggressive, and it was kind of softened by the colors and the floral nature of it or whatever. So it was a good juxtaposition. Someone asked,
interesting.
Someone asked, how did the dice thing come into play? Obviously, you wanted to gamify it and make it something that would be random, but was there an inspiration for the dice, i.e. a board game?
There wasn't an inspiration for the dice other than like I actually played dice with my friends a lot. Like we call it throwing bones, and like playing dice old school, like we got a bunch of singles, or you know what I'm saying, and throw them down. Right. So I thought that the wordplay of like you call dice bones. So I always thought that was kind of like a funny coincidence. But really it was just like, what could I do to generate some randomness when I make these? And it was like, when I was talking to my buddy from Pixel Portraits, he came up actually with the dice. It was his suggestion. He was like, why don't you just roll dice? and make like a cool chart. So it was really just that. It wasn't like a specific board game, but also the idea of like gamification is thrown around in the NFT space a lot. And so I just thought that the gamification of the actual creation of the NFT was a cool concept. And so that's kind of like how it all came together.
Very cool. Someone had asked with regards to that, when you have collaborators and you send them the dice, how can you control collaborators re-rolling the dice if they don't like the initial guidance?
I have not had that problem. The thing is that there's no like bad roll where someone's like, oh man, that's no good. It's like, so maybe somebody did that and I didn't know, and you know what, that's just part of it too then. It's like that dude really wanted to roll until he got like an ape skull, and so then I guess we're doing an ape skull. So I guess I have no real way of making sure they didn't roll twice. I hope that most of them are being honest. I do make them like record themselves opening it and rolling it. I guess they could fake the funk with that too, but I'm just relying on their integrity.
Right. If it meant that much to them that they're going to go through the effort of re-recording it over and over again until they get the combo they want.
Get it right.
Yeah, power to them, because it's not even theirs, right? It's going to end up on OpenSea and sold, or on your custom site, actually.
Right. And the traits, while there is some rarity, like I think the alien is the rarest one, and the hardest one to like roll. The traits don't matter. I mean, I think over time they'll begin to matter as more of them develop and I come out with more. But I think at the moment it's one of those things where like people are going to buy the Skully that they like the most and not worry as much about the traits. I think that's kind of the vibe of these things.
Typically, I'm going to try to buy whatever Skully I can, because it seems like if I see one, I got to jump. You got to jump quick and maybe make a trade afterwards. Here's one out of left field. Someone asked, when Probcause big clout account? Don't know.
Man, everyone's trying to get me on. I don't want anything to do with big clout. No hate, no shade. I don't got nothing to say about it, but I'm not really interested personally.
Yeah, I had set up shop there, and then I just kind of fell off a little bit, because at least at the time when I was on, it was a bunch of people on BitClout, and my feed was people talking about BitClout. You know what I mean? So it was what am I? And maybe it's evolved, and I should check it out again. But I haven't touched my profile in a long time.
Yeah, when people, I feel like whenever BitClout comes up, I get like these weird replies from like obvious bots that are like, "Yo, join BitClout." I don't know. Not really vibing with it. Maybe someone will change my mind at some point. I don't know, but it'll probably take a lot.
Yeah, I think someone's just trying to get some alpha, right? Like if you said like next week, they're like, let me buy it all up now. Then I could fund myself for a Lucy.
Yeah, right.
I'm just scanning here real quick for any other questions from the community. When is the next drop? Love the collection, want to participate. What we do know is it will be within the next 2 weeks, right?
Yes, within the next 2 weeks.
That being said, there are 3 that are on auction currently for,
and they're like pretty low, I think. Yeah, they end it tomorrow at 2. Yeah, they're like 0.2 right now.
Right.
Yeah, they're like super cheap. I mean, cheaper than Lucy's for sure.
Because everyone's going to try to swoop in the 11th hour.
Yeah, totally. I hope that happens. I still want like it's this weird dynamic of I really want them to be like accessible to everyone, but I got to make every single one by hand. So it's like I can only keep up with a certain level of the demand, but honestly, I'm like super honored and just stoked that there is a demand for them. Because I think we're building something pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I got to sneak one in just in case someone's not paying attention, and then I slide through at this level and get my bids in. Someone mentions a PO-app, right? So maybe that's an opportunity at some point. You can get kind of a base level Skully for people participating in something you got going on in Discord or something like that, and
totally
people can get a little taste, right? I learned that from
Yeah.
Diggy.
No, that would be really cool. Or like some additions down the road. I haven't figured out how to exactly do that yet, but I'm definitely I'm finding ways to make it accessible for everyone. That's like really what I'm trying to do, and make sure people who are interested in this can get involved, and it's not like, this huge gatekeeping thing where they can't get one if they want one. So that'll happen at some point, I'm sure.
Yep, and I love that you guys have adopted the "gonna make it" meme as part of your identity. So we see we see that in a lot of the posts relative to this, right? On like the Twitter feeds of people showing off their Skullies, they're talking about people that didn't get them or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Scully's gonna make it, baby. We gonna make it.
And then another comment from Easy, who's all over the place, reiterating, it's cool when the little guys can have accessibility, and it sounds like that's something that you want to. So I'm sure you'll build something in that regard, and it just talks to the strength of what you've built already, being really, it's resonating with people so much. It's almost like a brand is being established here. Was that what you envisioned at the start?
I don't know what I envisioned at the start. I was like, these are really cool drawings. I should run with them and take them somewhere. And then just as I was making them, as I was kind of like discussing them with some of my homies, it just kept evolving into this bigger and bigger idea. And there was a moment where I was like, should I have just like lazy minted these and just dropped them already? Like, am I overdoing it? And I kept just pushing back on myself, being like, no, dude, like this is really what you're doing is worth it. It's cool. It's got sustainability. Overused word again, community, but like that's something that has always been important to me, both inside the NFT space, but also outside in my daily life, in my neighborhood, and in my music career. So it was like, how can I like authentically build a community, and stand out in a space where everybody is using like the word community as like a selling point for their projects, So I was like, I'm gonna just make it small. Like I'm not like giving away an ape so that 1,000 people join my Discord immediately. Like I only want people in there. I would rather have 100 people who really care about what I'm doing in my Discord than 10,000 people who are just kind of like looking for the next hit. That's just, again, it's not really what I'm about. I don't really need that in my life.
Yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. The quality engagement is that much more potent and valuable than the quantity of it, and I'm a big
Well
advocate of
said.
that.
I mean, y'all
Um,
do like Whale Community is a prime example of that, man. I mean, y'all kind of like built the foundation, the template that other people look to. So, I know that you know what it's about for sure.
well, we appreciate that, and we're always trying to work and refine it. One thing I think that's super cool about this is, like you said, you're not giving away stuff to try to get people in. You're creating the art and you're showing people what it's about, and it's almost like the community is rallying around you and building itself. And I think that talks to the longevity it'll have and the legs that this project will have.
Totally. I appreciate that, man. I hear all the time from people who aren't in this space that NFTs are a bubble, these projects are a bubble. And like, yeah, some of them might be. Anyone who says NFTs are a bubble just has not, doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about
Right.
realistically. But for me, I was like, I'm going to do something that like disproves all those false notions about this space, build something that's like very real and tangible. And at some point I'm definitely gonna like, like you were talking about earlier, like the Cryptovoxel stuff is pretty important to me. So I'm definitely gonna do like events in there where I'm DJing and opening up stuff just for people who are in my Discord and CV. But at some point, I want to have like Skully meetups and have shows for the Skully heads and like do all that. So I'm trying to like find ways to bring this into the real world, and into like real life situations where we can like give back to people who are involved in this stuff.
Did you just allude to something that's in the works? Because you talk about the real
No.
world, and you also talked about you and Chris doing, the canvas painting. Is there something bigger going on here that you kind of let leak a little bit?
It's so early, bro. It's so early. I
All
have
right,
no
all right.
idea what's gonna
I'm
happen.
not trying to put you in a box, but we are perceptive here at Whale, so we appreciate the alpha. And with that, I will ask one more question of someone here trying to squeeze some alpha out of you. You had talked about variants of different sorts of the art style. It's really taking a turn and being really fun and impressive, at being so different. Any inclination as to what that could possibly be stylistically?
I just like, if you look at some of my work, I mean, even in like, if you go to my media tab and look at some of my older work, like, I have like more tight, complex drawings that are just a little bit more, I don't even know how you would say it. They're just like more, yeah, like some of this stuff. This is a great example. You're so good with it on the fly, man. Like, yeah, so like I have Skullies that are more in this style, like even more complex. And in fact, one of them that's kind of in the style that I'm referring to is going to come out today, or be like unveiled today for the I'm Not Art show. They have a an IRL show at their gallery in Chicago, opening tomorrow with a bunch of Chicago artists. And I think yeah, there it is. They're unveiling all the art, and I did a Skully for this called the Chicago Skully. It'll live outside the collection, but it's still like within the same vein. And that's kind of the vibe of what some of these other Skullies in Wave 2 will look like. So just be on the lookout. I think they're posting it in the next couple hours. It might even be in that Cryptovoxels link. They might have it already.
Oh man, I'm a little scared to click it after what I did at the beginning of our attempt to stream. Let me see if this tab
don't blow the computer up.
Look at this thing. I'm underwater at your parcel. I don't even know what's going on here, man.
That's not my parcel. I would never have you land underwater. That would never be the spawn point.
I'm gonna get out of there. I may click it. I may click it if I get a little more brave in a little bit. But you know what? If you do release things in this kind of art style, I'm pretty sure you're gonna see some Skullies tattoos pop up in your feed.
Yo, I already have a couple people who have gotten skulls that I've drawn in the past tattooed. So that would be really sick. I gotta dig that photo up. I'm gonna post it today. You just reminded me. One of my homies from high school got this Skully I drew, or just a regular skull at that point, tattooed on his calf, and it was like pretty raw. So it'd be cool to see some of these pop up on body parts.
People were asking me for the coordinates in Cryptovoxels, so I'm dropping them to your lounge, your bodega.
No, let me give you so if you go to
okay, let me delete it because I already posted it. All right.
Yeah. There's I have another parcel, and all the Skullies are up there. Yo, I'm gonna post it. Where should I post it? Where's the best place for everyone to find it? Should I just send it to you real quick?
You can send it to me. Yeah. I'm
gonna send it to your chat. Yo, you guys should go check this out actually. If you got a second, because it's really cool. And hold on one second. Let me grab this link. Yeah. Here, you gotta peep it in night mode too. You ever mess with night mode in Cryptovoxels? That might really fry your computer.
I'm always in night mode. What are you talking about?
Oh, no way. You're nightmare. Of course you are. All right, here you go. I just sent you the coordinates there. Yeah, go check it out. I put a bunch of work into this actually. To build like a really cool space for them to all live. So this will be like the home of the Skullies and Cryptovoxels. And all 33 are up there right now. They are not clickable, but I will make them clickable at some point. There's a cool little graveyard in there. Yeah, it's a whole vibe.
You're getting me FOMO. I'm gonna try it right here, but if the whole stream shuts down, guys, you know what happened. This is Skullies by Probcause. Check it out on Opens. First of all, head over to Twitter. Follow Probcause. Right? It's definitely worthwhile to follow all of his endeavors because he does a lot of cool stuff. So PROB cause. There you can see he has the Skullies Twitter as well. If you want to go straight to Skullies GMI, Skully's gonna make it. There you can find the Discord where all this alpha is being dropped, and also the links to the OpenSea collection where there's still 3 that are on auction. But who knows? Maybe some of these will hit secondary. I doubt it. I don't
know if anyone's even selling them yet. It feels like no one's selling them yet, except for like absurd prices.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's dipping his toe in the water, but I think I saw some for like 20 or something.
Yeah. There's one for like a 420.
Yeah. I like it. That'll hit. And then also, they could find their ways to the Lucy's and things of that nature as well. Yeah. I think we had a lawyer pop in the chat. Someone's asking, did you pay Manifold to have your own smart contract? I don't know if you don't need to answer that. Wait till you consult with your attorney.
I can answer it.
Okay.
I actually donated I haven't given it to them yet. I donated a piece to their vault. They have a really cool vault collection of all the artists that they've helped, and I'm gonna make a Richard Lucy, which may be the coolest Lucy that I ever make with the 3D glasses and all that. So that'll be in the works. But yeah, they were really cool. They just had me donate a piece to the vault. I'm all about full disclosure. I got, whatever questions you want to ask. Maybe
Awesome.
I should refrain that.
Yeah, we'll edit.
Keep it
We may
PG, though.
that may be redacted in the
Yeah.
in the upload. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. Anything else you want to leave the community with?
Man, I just appreciate you, Nightmare. Like, you showed me love since like I could barely figure out how to use Discord or any of this stuff. So I just appreciate the whale community, supporting me. I appreciate y'all listening and caring about what I'm doing. And thanks for the time today and being such a dope host.
Yeah, no, thanks for making such dope art. We love everything that you do here, and I'm sure we will have you back at one point for your next project. Probcause, Skullies breaking the internet today, as well as my computer melting it. Thank you so much for coming by.
Yes. Much love, dog. I'll talk to you soon, bro.
Take care.